Good morning, everyone. It's great to have you all with us on another VKids Sunday, isn't it, Hamilton? And Hamilton, how are you doing? Are you good? Yes. Now then, has anyone sent any jokes in? They have? Who's sent the one in for this week? This one is from Lydia. Okay, let's hear it. Okay, 2 drums and a cymbal fell out of the window. Is that it? Okay, what's the next bit? Badum-tsh. Thank you, Hamilton, and thank you, Lydia, for sending that one in to us as well. And don't worry, if you sent a joke and we've not shared it yet, we've still got lots of weeks to share them. And if you'd like to send one in, send it into vkids@vintagechurchla.com and I can pass it on to Hamilton and he can share them with us. Okay, should we get started with the morning? We've got so many fun things. We've got our story, we've got our song, we've got Professor Bonkers back again. So let's get started now. Okay, it's time for our story now. So we are going to head over to everyone's favourite Granny Page Turner, who's going to tell us about what happened last week, just as a reminder, and where we can find the story this week. So let's all say hello to Granny Page Turner. Oh, hello everyone. It's good to see you all again. It's me, Granny Page Turner, here to remind you about what happened last week in the story. Do you remember, dearies? Yes, Jesus chose his 12 helpers to help with his rescue plan, didn't he? Yes, I remember that as well. Now, if I can just find my Bible again. Now, where is it, dears? Can you see it? Oh, yes, there it is. Silly me. Here it is. Have you got your Jesus Storybook Bible? You have? Can you wave them in the air? Yes, good to see you all with your Jesus Storybook Bibles. Now, today's story is about a poor frail lady and a young girl, and you'll find it on page 214. That's a lot of pages, isn't it, my dears? Page 214 in your Bibles. But let's watch the screen, or you can follow along, and let's hear the story now.
A little girl and a poor frail lady. There was once a little girl who didn't get out of bed one morning, or the next, or the next. In fact, she didn't get out of bed for a whole month. She was very sick, and no one knew how to make her better. Jairus was her daddy, and he loved her. One day, he was sitting by her bed, holding her hand, wishing there was something he could... "I know," he said. He jumped to his feet, put on his coat, kissed his daughter, ran down the steps, past the servants, out of the house, through the gates, along the road, into the town, up the steps, and into the temple. He fought his way through all the people until at last he found who he was looking for. "Jesus," he said, falling at Jesus' feet. "My daughter," he pleaded, "please, But he didn't need to beg, because before he'd even finished speaking, Jesus reached out his hand and helped him up. "I'll come at once," Jesus said. Jairus' eyes filled with tears. Jesus was coming. It would be all right. In those days, of course, they didn't have ambulances, so they had to go by foot. Jesus' helpers knew that he would heal the sick girl, but they must hurry. If Jesus didn't get there soon, it would be too late. But everyone was in the way, hustling and bustling, jostling and pressing, pushing and shoving, squishing and squashing. The disciples ran ahead, forcing back the crowd. Suddenly, Jesus stopped. His friends looked back. What was he doing? "Who touched me?" Jesus asked, because he felt power go out of him. Me, said a frail lady, looking down at the ground because she was ashamed. The poor lady had been sick for 12 years, and she had to get well. She knew if she only touched Jesus' coat, she would be healed. So she touched his coat, and instantly she was well. "We don't have time," Jesus' friends said. But Jesus always had time. He reached out his hands and gently lifted her head. He looked into her eyes and smiled. "You believed," he said, wiping a tear from her eye. "And now you are well." Just then, Jairus' servant rushed up to Jairus. It's too late," he said breathlessly. "Your daughter is dead." Jesus turned to Jairus. "It's not too late," Jesus said. "Trust me." At Jairus' house, everyone was crying. But Jesus said, "I'm going to wake her up." Everyone laughed at him because they knew she was dead. Jesus walked into the little girl's bedroom, and there, lying in the corner, in the shadows, was the still little figure. Jesus sat on the bed and took her pale hand. "Honey," he said, "it's time to get up." And he reached down into death and gently brought the little girl back to life. The little girl woke up, rubbed her eyes as if she had just had a good night's sleep, and leapt out of bed. Jesus threw open the shutters and sunlight flooded the dark room. "Hungry?" Jesus asked. She nodded. Jesus called to her family. "Bring this little girl some breakfast." Jesus helped and healed many people like this. He made blind people see. He made deaf people hear. He made lame people walk. Jesus was making the sad things come untrue. He was mending God's broken world.
Wow, what a great story about having faith. Now then, we've got our response time, and the great news is that we are heading back to Professor Bonkers in the science lab, who's going to tell us a bit more about what we can learn from that story. So over to you, Professor Bonkers. Hello everyone, Professor IB Bonkers here. It's great to be with you again of a Sunday morning. Now, we learnt about 2 different stories there, didn't we? And we learnt about 2 different people who had faith. Now, who were those people? There was Jairus in the one story, and then there was the poor sick lady who'd been sick for 12 years. She also had faith, didn't she? Now, I'm going to show you a little bit about faith by doing an experiment, yes. So what we're going to do is, I've got some warm water here, and I've got some sugar here. So I'm first of all going to put the sugar in the water, like this. Maybe you can try this at home. It's about half a cup of warm water there. And then I've got some yeast, and I'm going to put the yeast in the water as well. Like that, there we go. Then I'm going to give it a little stir. Make sure it's all mixed up together, like this. Now then, what you're going to need to do then is leave that for about 10 minutes. All right, so I'm going to put that to one side, but I'm going to show you one that I've had left for 10 minutes so we can see what's happened to it. Let's have a look what we've got here. Now, this is exactly the same things all mixed together, but it's been left for 10 minutes. And can you see that it's making lots of bubbling? It's had a reaction. Look, there's lots of bubbles in the side there that you can see that have been happening in there. Now, the yeast in there, we can't see it, can we? But it's still made the things change. It's still caused different things to happen. It's caused the bubbles to happen. It's caused it to get a bit bigger, hasn't it? Even though we can't see the yeast. And it's a little bit like that with our faith, isn't it? Because even though we can't see God, it doesn't mean He's not moving in our lives and changing things and making things happen for us, does it? So it's a little bit like this. Even though you can't see the yeast, you can see that it's made things change in that cup. Amazing. So I hope you enjoyed that, and do try this at home. And don't forget, you can send your pictures in to us at vkids@vintagechurchla.com, because we'd love to see your experiments as well. All right, till next time. Bye. Well, thank you so much to Professor Bonkers for sharing that experiment with us. I'm definitely going to try that one at home, I think. But now it's time for our memory verse, so we're going to go right over to Hamilton at his house, and he'll tell us about the verse for this week. Over to you, Hamilton. Hello, friends. It's memory verse time. And today the verse comes from Hebrews 11, verse 1. And it says, "To have faith is to be sure of the things we hope for, to be certain of the things we cannot see." It's just like Professor Bonkers just showed us. Even though we can't see God, it doesn't mean he's not there. So you have a lot of fun learning that one for this week, and I'll see you very soon. Bye! Okay, it's time for our worship song now, isn't it, Hamilton? And we're going to be doing the same one as we did last week, our brand new song, which I'm really excited about. But first of all, what do we need to do? Yes, we need to head over to Melbourne, Australia, where Jenny Jogsalot is waiting to do our worship warm-up. So over to you, Jenny. Oh, hey guys. Jenny Jogsalot, just out here in Melbourne, Australia, just practicing my dance moves from last week's song, because we're going to do the same song this week. Great, because I know you guys loved it last week. So, before we do that, we need to make sure that we do our warm-up. Yes, we're going to do our one where we do our arms punching in front, but you guys know what I always say, make sure you're not standing right next to someone else in your house, because we don't want anyone accidentally punching each other, do we? All right, here we go. We're going to do 10. Right, are you ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job, you guys. Let's all worship together.
Safe
Wow, Hamilton, I don't know about you, but I am tired out from dancing to that worship song. That was so much fun, wasn't it? Well, we've come to the end of our VKids worship for this morning, but don't forget we've got all of our fun online activities at vintagechurchla.com/VKids, so check out those. But until next week, it's goodbye from me and Hamilton, and we will see you very soon. Bye!